Welcome to this video. I wanted to just check in real quick and see how you're doing after that pretty intense and pretty crazy solar eclipse or the ring of fire that we just had on the weekend on Saturday on the 14th. I don't know if you saw it where you live. It was not visible here in Canada. It was mostly actually in the US, and the whole pathway of it was right across the US, and the southern parts, right? So like South America. So the pathway for them there, they saw it, but we didn't hear. And even though we didn't see it, because they were saying that the solar eclipse was going to be a lot more intense and a lot more impactful for people that did see it, and that live specifically in the areas where it was visible. And then, of course, certain signs, definitely like Libra, of course, because it was in the sign of Libra, and certain other signs were more impacted by this solar eclipse, but other signs were less impacted. But what I want to say here and what I really want to check in about is how are you doing with your shadow? Because more than anything, this solar eclipse was like a highlighter, an illuminator of our shadow. So with the moon going in front of the sun, it's like the sun literally illuminated our shadows. And so while it was behind the scenes, it was lighting up what was behind the scenes or what is behind the scenes. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I found it to be intense. Like it was just intense reality, and it was really intense to look at certain shadow parts of myself that I thought I was totally okay with. And I thought that I had, in order within myself, and that I've already dealt with certain things within myself that came up for me. And this solar eclipse kind of showed me that no, that's not entirely the case. So I'm wondering if that happened for you. Was there anything specific that really came up for you that you were like, oh my God, like that's totally my shadow. I totally have this fear, or I totally have that fear, or whatever. Did anything like that come up for you? Because like I said, it definitely came up for me both on Saturday and on Sunday. Even Monday, I was still feeling very much like I was picking up the energy, and it was still continuing to illuminate within me. So this is the part I don't like, because now I have to get vulnerable, and I in my notes was the first thing that I wrote down, that I'm actually one of the fears that became most apparent to me during this solar eclipse was fear of vulnerability. And I know that is a very, very common one. A lot of people have that fear, and you might think to yourself like, well, whatever, what's the big deal? Everybody's afraid to be vulnerable. But this was like next level illumination. So this was not just like, oh yeah, I have this fear. It was like a full on, like gripping, like, dude, this is what's holding me back on so many levels, on so many areas of my life. It's just, there's just such a fear of vulnerability. And then it was almost like it was trickling backwards, and everything was like, it was like I was getting closer and closer to the root of the issue. So it's like, what does my vulnerability or fear of vulnerability stem from? And then that's what I started sort of paying attention to and tuning into. And as I was tuning in, it was all coming back to fear of loss. So it was very intense for me. It was very interesting to experience that, because like I said, I thought that I was good with that and I have dealt with it. And while that's not a lie, because yes, I have dealt with it, but I've dealt with layers of it, not the actual full-on root cause of that fear. And so you may notice that certain things will have popped up for you maybe over the last few days, and maybe you've kind of noticed some specifics. Some may be still very dormant in your subconscious mind, but it was almost like my subconscious was full on being illuminated, and it was being very obviously shown to me like, hey, this is the reason why you're not moving forward with certain things. This is the reason why you're having issues with saying how you feel. This is why you have issues talking about your like deep emotions and feelings to others. It's not something that I like to reveal. It's just something that I've sort of always struggled with because, and this was something I pondered because as I went back into my past for this lifetime, what I noticed was I'm like, wow, there's this like major pattern of every time that I was vulnerable or every time I tried to be vulnerable or was sort of like putting my heart out there was always loss connected to it. There was always like a loss associated to that vulnerability. And so that vulnerability is why, like, that's why it's so stunted, I guess, in terms of full maturation within the self, because it was always associated with loss. And I think this is, again, a very common issue for a lot of people. It's something that I've most certainly identified in others really well. I've identified this within myself too. But like I said, this weekend was like this like next level realization to it. It was just like seeing a whole nother layer to it that I haven't seen or haven't had that level of awareness of. And that's what I found to be really, really interesting. And in addition to vulnerability, because there was other stuff that was coming up for me, there was definitely fears around partnership. There was fears around losing independence or losing freedom. Like there was just this innate fear of losing freedom. And I was like, where does that come from? Like, I feel free. I feel good. I feel like I can do whatever I want in my life. So where is that fear coming from? And I think that one stems back a little bit further. Some of it perhaps from childhood, sure. But I felt like that was more past life connection to that particular issue. I think I have lost my freedom in previous lifetimes over different situations and over different things. But the way it was coming up for me in this particular instance and the way that it was being illuminated was just like, oh, hey, remember that deep core wound? Yeah, that's still there. Like, you need to look at that and you need to still work on that because it's still there. So why do you fear losing freedom in this lifetime if you're free to do whatever you want to do and you currently have freedom, right? So it was just very interesting the way it all revealed itself to me and how it all connects to really feeling deeply and being authentic. Like, authenticity is something that I'm down for and I feel very comfortable being authentic. However, that vulnerability part, which is a part of authenticity, that part is something I need to work on. It's something that was very clearly made known to me over the weekend that it's something I'm still struggling with. And I could feel sort of like where within myself I was holding that energy. And it felt very much like it was in my power center. So in my solar plexus chakra, which is the yellow chakra just under the heart. And I could feel that there was this tension, there was this gripping, there was this tightness, this uncomfortable feeling that was stuck within that power center that very, very much connected to all of these fears. So it was the fear of losing freedom actually has to do with the fear of losing power. So it's like it all moves back and it all connects to something deeper and deeper. And like the deeper you go within yourself, the more awareness you start to have of the depth of your subconscious mind and your subconscious programming, the more that you're able to really look at it clearly and really make changes. Like this solar plexus or solar eclipse, that we just had was such a significant, like new chapter, like new beginning type of energy. It was so much about truly like reset, hitting the reset button. And that's what I feel like. I generally have this feeling of like, oh my God, like tie up loose ends, like gotta get shit done. And just really wanting to finish up. Like, I can't even tell you, in the last 4 to 5 days, I finished more tiny ass little annoying projects that don't take a long time, that can be done very quickly. But I've finished probably 6 or 7 or 8 of those in the last few days. So I have this very deep urge and this sense of like, okay, new beginning. So like this has to get done. That needs to come off my plate. It was like there were so many different things that were popping up for me that I knew I needed to clear off my plate and get it done, tie up the loose end, finish it up, and like be done with it. Because what I can feel is that this new chapter that we just began is very much about investing our energy and our time appropriately and into the right things. It's about how to not waste time, how to be more efficient in the way that we live, in the way that we function, in the way that we show up on a daily basis, how to be more proactive about the things that need to get done, right? And how can I really streamline my life more into something that is just so effortless, that feels so good and so easy. That's really where the focus is at. So it's like, how can you rearrange your routines, redo things, and really look at, how you function on a daily basis, what you spend your time doing, how much of that is work, how much of that is out of balance. Are you working too much? Are you not working enough? Are you spending too much time scrolling? Are you spending too much time digging in the fridge? Like whatever it is, where does that balance need to come back in? I mean, that's what this solar I lost the word. Oh my God. Solar eclipse was all about. Sorry. So now that I'm moving into, not moving into, but now that we are in this new phase and this new chapter, this new beginning for us, and hopefully you got some insight into your own shadow and into your own subconscious mind. And hopefully you have a deeper understanding of what you need to shift and what you need to work on and what you needed to get real about with yourself. Then, this is the time to now really put that action into place. And it's like everything that wasn't working has to go, right? All those loose ends need to be tied up. Like I can't even express to you like how good I feel. Just those little tiny things that I needed to get done. Like there was a pair of boots for my daughter I needed to clean. And there was just a couple of pictures that needed hanging on the wall, and like just tiny little, like I said, things that don't take very long, but they just sit there and they sit in a corner somewhere. And every time you pass by and you look at it, and it kind of picks at your brain, and you're like, yes, I need to get that done. I'll get it done later. I'll get it done later. And then that later kind of never comes, right? So how about now is later, and you just, take life by the reins. Take all of these little things that you need to get done. Make a list of them if you need to make a list, and just tick them all, like get them done. Like I could literally do 3 or 4 things in one day. I cleaned the whole house. I organized the kitchen. There was a whole bunch of different things I did over these last few days because of this insatiable urge to recreate my life, to really structure. I spent my entire Sunday cooking and meal prepping for the week, for example. And that's something that I do, but I don't do it consistently, right? So even having awareness of that, like there was so much awareness of all of the different things in my life that need a little bit of tweaking, and some stuff is not like the whole thing is crap. It's just certain parts of your routine or certain things that you're doing just need that slight little tweaking, and it makes all the difference. So like all the meal prep I did on Sunday, I have no questions this week of what I'm eating, what I'm going to be having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, because it's all there. It's all prepped. It's all in containers. It's all good to go in the fridge. So, these are the kind of things that we are now becoming more aware of. And these are the things that we are now, I think, craving for and striving to improve in our lives, is just how to get our daily routines back, on track, how to really start doing the things that matter on a daily basis and not waste time and not, piss it into the wind, but really take charge of your schedule and get things done. And by getting things done, I also mean, always leaving time to go outside, always leaving yourself extra time to just have downtime and to have leisure time, right? To turn off, to not be on the phone. It's like we need all these different things to fit into the schedule, but not cram the schedule. So a lot of deep realizations. There was also a fear of change actually that came up, which is so weird because I am such an advocate for change, and I absolutely typically love change. As a matter of fact, I'm always just slightly, rearranging a couple things in my house, maybe every 3-4 months, just little things like stuff that I'll move around just to kind of freshen up the space, or like the plant looks better over here, right? Like just little things that I do all the time because I need that change. I'm craving that change. And yet, as I was sort of pondering my life choices and really looking very, very honestly at my subconscious and everything that was being revealed about my subconscious, fear of change was a big one that came up. It's like, oh, but I'm used to status quo. Like, what happens now? What if that changes? Then what's gonna, it's like, and it was so weird because, again, having the awareness I have, knowing that change is so important for us, it was just bizarre. Like, so you might find bizarre things popping up that you thought you were done with, that you thought you did not have to deal with any longer, or that it wasn't an issue for you. And yet here it is, potentially popping up for you right now. So, um, um, the other thing I noticed too was my ego really likes to play small. So I had like a little conversation with my ego on, I think, Saturday, maybe the day of, um, about how incredibly obsessed my ego is with like playing small and actually with like hiding. So it has this whole thing where my ego seems to believe that if I hide from other people, from the world, then somehow I can just drown out the noise of the world. And then I kind of really thought about that for a moment. It's like, for one, we're not here to drown out or to hide or to run away from anything. We are here to be active participants in life, right? And the only way that you can become an active participant is if you're willing to put up with some of the noise of the world, right? And understand it for what it is and understand your own contribution to that noise. You know, how am I contributing? What am I putting into the chaos of the world? You know, perhaps maybe is my energy a little bit chaotic sometimes, and maybe that's how I increase the noise of the world. Maybe I need to, you know, adjust certain things within myself to contribute differently, to put out a different frequency and to put out a different harmony, a song instead of noise, right? So there was just these very philosophical and very sort of interesting insights that I was getting over the weekend from the solar eclipse. But leave in the comments below and share with me if there was any particular aspects of your shadow that you became aware of over this weekend. Anything that really became highlighted, that became obvious, that became like almost like an aha moment for you, where you were just like, oh my God, I totally do that. Or, oh my gosh, I totally have this, you know, fear around this. Like for me, it was the vulnerability, right? And then try to dig a little bit deeper within yourself and ask yourself, like, where is the root of this? Like, where is this all coming from? What does this connect to or tie to within me? What trauma or what incident? What did I experience? Perhaps maybe when I was just a small child, that now I have this fear of vulnerability, right? Like, you never know what certain things you experienced up until the age of 7 that you totally don't remember, and it's lying dormant within your subconscious mind. So I hope that you guys had a chance to do a little bit of soul searching over the weekend with the solar eclipse. And I really hope that you got some insights and really got a deeper understanding or more clarity around what your subconscious mind actually carries in terms of information and programming. And hopefully, now that you have some awareness of that, you're able to really start taking some steps to shift that, to change that, to actively do something about it. And that being said, hopefully you guys are also still tying up some loose ends and definitely focusing on completing, you know, projects and completing all kinds of different things. Anything and everything that you can get off your plate this year before this year is done is going to be such a wonderful way to begin 2024. And we have so much crazy astrology and so many different energies that are going to be playing out, some of them already playing out, that are leading us into 2024, that I would highly, highly recommend that you do as much of this as possible. It was a very clear message I received from Spirit, and Spirit was like, we're not messing around, like, clean this shit up. Like, get it done. Clean out that subconscious, clean out that house, clean out that fridge, clean out that whatever. You know, do those, clean off that list, clean off your plate, right? Get stuff done and offload, and allow yourself to really start making some big steps towards change. So leave in the comments below. Let me know what you guys experienced, what kind of shadow aspects popped up for you or fears. And hopefully together within this community, we can really support one another, and just by being there, just by commenting, by liking and sharing and all of that stuff, we support one another. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribe to the channel. I still have the giveaway that I'm doing. So 3 1-hour coaching calls with me are going to be available as soon as I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. I'm super close. So do hit the subscribe, hit the like, and put divine love into the comments below under this video. And those 3 things will get you entered to win, or potentially win, for this awesome contest. I mean, it's a whole hour. Okay, we have a whole hour to chat. So there's a lot that we can go through, and a lot of life areas that we can discuss in an hour's time. So thank you so much in advance if you've already done it. And I wish you all the best and good luck for you to win that hour with me. It is going to be well worth it. I promise you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.